So let's start, okay? Okay, I'm starting, okay? So shalom everybody. This week's Parshat Shelach, I think more than any other parsha in the Torah, it reflects to us the ability to have different perspectives facing the same reality and the same facts. To some extent, you can have different perspectives because reality itself is complex. Reality itself has different sides to it, different parts to it. And basically, the Parsha is a big call to us of how to acquire the right point of view, how to save ourselves from escalating to a negative point of view. If we look at the beginning of the mission of the Meraglim when they come back, 12 Meraglim were sent, and the first report they all give is a similar report. They give the same facts. What are the facts? The facts are complex. On the one hand, they come and tell a story that Eretz Yisrael is Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash. It's flowed with milk and honey, and they show the fruits, which were like, wow, you know? Everybody agrees it's a really a fruitful country. On the other hand, there's no dispute amongst the 12 Meraglim that the people living in the land are fierce, they're strong, that the cities there have big walls, and they're well protected, and they're hiding their weapons in mountains, and that the people there are big and giants, and there are many strong nations there. I mean, they even bring the names. The names are they describe over there the Yevusi, the Knaani, the Chiti, Amalek. There's no argument about that. The argument is, what do you do when you want to go into a good land, which has such people? And here they split, and the majority went to one direction. Apparently, there's some danger in human nature to escalate to that side, and only two of them had the ability to hold themselves and look differently. So we're all in danger to be like the Meraglim. We see that that's what the majority of people have actually done. What do the Meraglim say? They don't deny the facts, but they express their concern, their fear of going into confrontation with these nations. And therefore, what did they say? This is already not delivering facts, what you have seen. This is actually giving a point of view. They say, Lo nuchal la'alot el ha'am ki chazaku mimeno. We will not be able to go up against these people because they are stronger than us. And then what they do is they blacken the whole picture. Like Photoshop all the facts. From now on, they start talking about, listen, it's the same land described three, four psukim before. Eretz ochelet yoshveahu. This is a city where people keep dying there. Kol ha'am asher hayinu betochan shem midot. Did you see how we saw some giants? How no, everybody there is huge. They exaggerate. They take one fact and they darken the whole picture with that fact. And the major point is how they look at themselves. Because what do they say? V'sham ra'inu et ha'nefilim bnei anak min ha'nefilim. If you follow the Hebrew, they use the word nefilim twice, meaning we saw these giants who are giant people. And what do they say? That's the most important thing. V'anhi ve'eineinu kachagavim v'chein einu b'einehem. They describe we saw ourselves as grasshoppers in front of them. And when you feel like a grasshopper, you get filled with crippling and paralyzing terror and fear. You lose your faith in your ability to act. Everything seems bad to you, black to you. You go and become desperate. But come the two different Meraglim, Yoshua and Kalev, and the difference begins in their ability to say against Lo nuchal la'alot el ha'am. What do they say? Alo na'aleh v'yarashnu ota ki yachol nuchala. They believe we have the ability to stand to the challenge. They don't deny it's a challenge. They don't deny that there are strong nations there. Now look how they continue to describe the land. Haaretz asher avarnu בה לתור אותה טובה, ארץ מאוד מאוד. They don't come part of this Barash Chayra, of looking at everything bad. It's a good country. They know that there's a challenge, but they don't see themselves as grasshoppers, but they see themselves as humans who are able to have a complex vision. And the secret of success is what they declare, Im chafetz banu Hashem, if the Kodesh Baruch Hu really wants us, He'll help us. Ve'vi otanu la'aretz hazot. He will bring us into this land. U'netana lanu eretz zavat chalav udvash. But they say, but don't revolt against the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Ach ba'Hashem al timrodu. And don't be afraid of the Am Haaretz, because we can take care of them. Now, what about Am Yisrael? Not about the spies. So if you read the Parsha carefully, you see that the people have no real stand. They just move from side to side. It's very easy to uh, convince them that things are bad. They can get excited very simply. In Hebrew, there's a phrase called "efes lamea." You go from 0 to 100, kilometers per hour, and that's how they act. They don't have a worldview. They don't have a way of looking at life. On the one hand, when they hear the miraglim, they start crying and they all get desperate. On the other hand, they go and complain and listen to the words they say. I don't know if they believe they would ever say that. They want to go back to Egypt. They say if we'll just go there, we'll lose. On the other hand, you know what happens after Moshe Rabbeinu tells them their punishment? They get up the next morning and they're all excited. Now they're going to Eretz Yisrael, the Mapilim. And when Moshe Rabbeinu warns them, he warns them it won't succeed because the secret is having God with you. They don't listen again. It means that the Am is very easy to tempt it to go to different standpoints because they don't have one. It shows the importance of leadership, the importance of acquiring to yourself a way of looking at things that should stand even when there are challenges. Now, I want to share with you a thought that today we're very similar to those days because the Torah describes really human nature. The attack on Iran, the first attack was Thursday night, which was the night of Friday, which is Erev Shabbat Ba'alotcha. And that week, we learned in the Torah the pasuk, which you're very familiar with, Kuma Hashem v'yafutzu oivecha v'yanusu mesanecha mipanecha. Your enemies should run away from you. Your enemies, those who hate you, when they understand who's fighting them, the Kodesh Baruch Hu, they should all run away. And I want to be honest with you. I'm sure you have also have heard voices this week describing what we are experiencing in the past week. That describing that we are an event which even has like a magnitude of a biblical event. Such miracles, such events we couldn't believe that could happen. And as living in midst of the religious national community, I'm sure you too, I heard many, many voices of euphoria, which are one-sided, which are like not complex, of calling to say Hallel with a bracha and thanksgiving. And indeed, there are things which should recognize, which we should really thank the Kodesh Baruch Hu for. I want to start with stopping being grasshoppers. For years, we have feared to deal with the Iranian issue. And here, our leadership has found the courage to strike the head of the octopus that has been threatening for a generation to destroy the state of Israel and actively working out its plan, establishing a missile industry, striving for nuclear weapons, building around us proxies which should all at one time should attack us. And we were afraid to take the initiative to protect ourselves. So first of all, the change in us is something to thank the Kodesh Baruch Hu for. B, the phenomenal success of our army. Our Air Force has actually conquered the skies of Iran. They're flying there as if they're in the middle of our country. Uh, they're able to strike the enemy with close cooperation with our intelligence, which maybe we lost our trust in their work because of what happened in October 7th. But look at their success to know where our enemies are, what to strike, to try to strike the right places. Let's also mention the damage here back at home from the uh, is it back, Sharon? I hope so. Okay. It says here that I'm frozen. Okay. I'll keep talking, okay? Whatever you get, okay? I'm saying for years we were terrified by the price we will pay for attacking the Iranians. What damage will they do to us? And here I'll just say the damage is not what we were afraid of. But still, at the same time, I'm afraid of escalating only to euphoria. I'll tell you why. We're still in the midst of the events. We don't know what's going to be. And I think we have to acquire to ourselves a more balanced view that together with the Hallel, remember, Hallel includes Hodul Hashem Kitov, together with a cry of prayer, Ana Hashem Oshiana, Ana Hashem Atzlichana. And especially, it's important for me to share with you this call, not only to be in euphoria, because we still have a mission to do, and all of us are soldiers in this war. Let's look a little more complex about these past week events. Yes, along the sense of success, and there have been casualties, and our hearts are bleeding for the civilians who were killed in the attacks. Many families have lost their homes in this past week. Thousands of people are homeless now because their homes were struck by the missiles. The damage to Machon Weizmann, the Weizmann Institute. You should know that years of research of scientists who have been doing research in the fields of biology, medicine, to try to help the world, humankind, to fight diseases. It was damaged. Decades of research has to be reconstructed if it could. There are situations which the situation itself has a complex way of looking at it. Let's take a look at the attack yesterday morning at the Soroka Hospital in Beersheba. On the one hand, the damage to the hospital, which basically stopped working, had to evacuate the whole hospital and have to rebuild it, is a real blow. I mean, that Soroka is the major hospital for the residents of the Negev. It's a very big and important medical center, and that's a real blow. On the other hand, if you follow the news, perhaps you have heard that a day before the missile hit the hospital, the building there, where the top floors, were hit by the missile, were evacuated by the hospital. They took the patients down to lower floors, and nobody was killed in the attack. It's important to express that they took them down because those were the orders of the Pikuda Arif. It's been done in other hospitals. So what do you see when you look at the news at Soroka? You see the blown building, you see the evacuation, or you see those people whose lives were saved. Dozens and dozens of people would have been at great danger if they were there. So we're called in these days to have a complex way of looking at events. On the one hand, notice to say thank you for the good things. And when we see the bad things or the challenges, to be the students of Yoshua and Kalev who were able to say Alona Alevi Arashnu Ota. I recommend you to listen to interviews with scientists from Machon Weizmann, from the Weizmann Institute. People who their life work was destroyed, who they say they will save what they can and they'll rebuild the institute. They'll find ways to continue their research for the benefit of humanity. Those are people who say Alona Alev Yarashnu Ota. Listen to the mayors of Bat Yam, of Beersheba, what they say when they stand next to the destroyed buildings. They say, we'll rebuild, we'll help everybody. We'll make them nicer housing. Alona Ale v'yarashnu ota. We have to continue feeling a sense of duty because as I mentioned before, the war is not over. We're all soldiers in this war. First of all, let's not forget that the fighting in Gaza is going on. Let's not forget our soldiers who are there protecting us, fighting for the safety of Am Yisrael against our enemy there, the Hamas. Let's not forget the soldiers who were killed this week. Hashem Yikom Damam, and we strengthen their families and comfort them. Let's not forget our brothers in the tunnels of Gaza. We have to think of them and be committed to bring them home. And the same is true about the fighting in Iran. It's not over. I wish upon ourselves that the Sukkot Shalom of the Kadosh Baruch Hu should be continue to be in us, but we have to have strength to continue to be part of the war. And I want to turn to us, residents of Beit Shemesh. Baruch Hashem, no missile has fell here. But I think the hit in Beersheba showed us nobody can think to himself that it won't happen in where he lives. And therefore, it's a holy duty. Really, all of us have to make sure that we protect ourselves and our surroundings. And that's how our community is run. Be next to a mamad or miklat. Make sure that you keep up to the instructions of Pikuda Aref. Our shul is run that way. In the shul, there are smaller minyanim. That, in my eyes, is the center of all the street minyanim. Together, we hold hands together. The shul is continuing to function, but each one should go to the minyan closest to his house and only go there if you're able to protect yourself and get to a mamad if there's an azakah. As I wrote to you, if you cannot do that, it's better to stay home and daven bichidut. It's okay. But please, we should watch ourselves. I want to conclude that the Ari Kadosh, the Holy Ari, would always talk about a concept that we have to fix the chait of the meraglim. So I want to first of all salute to all the Olim here who want to hear English when they live in Israel. Okay, but what I want to say is, the Olim, who made the decision to leave English-speaking countries, which most of you had a comfortable life there. And most of you could have stayed there and have a good time there. And here you came to Eretz Yisrael because you love Eretz Yisrael, realizing this is where the future of Am Yisrael is being formatted and being part of it. No matter what age you came here. I came when I was 7. Some here came when they were 70, even more. No matter what age you came, the love you show to Eretz Yisrael, that's a fixing, a tikkun of Chet HaMeraglim. I want to say something about the younger generation of our community, second generation. Most of them were born here already, were raised here. But the way they're fighting for Am Yisrael for the past 18, 19 months, they are fixing the sin of the Meraglim. They're showing how Am Yisrael is regaining its right in Eretz Yisrael. I want to draw your attention to an amazing phenomenon, rescue flights from a country in war. In most countries in war, the rescue flight is to evacuate people from that country to go to a safer place. And here, only the crazy nation, Am Yisrael, really, we're crazy, have rescue flights to bring Israelis back home because Nebuch, they got stuck on some vacation and holiday because they want to come home because this is where we belong. The most important, I want to conclude that if you listen carefully to Parshat Shavua, Yoshua and Caleb say that we will succeed because Hashem imanu. So we have to be deserved that the Kosh Baruch Hu should want to be with us. That means that we have to build here a society and a nation which deserves the mercy of God, His Sukkot Shalom. This moment of fighting is a rare moment of putting aside the inner conflicts within Israeli society where the politicians did not fight for a week. They put it aside, supporting the government. This is something all of us have to share and be part of it. This is time to open our hearts, to find ways and venues to get closer one to the other, to enhance the chesed which we are doing and help each other. And Bezrat Hashem, I pray to the Kadosh Baruch Hu that He will be porei sukat shalom aleinu v'kol amo Yisrael. We'll continue doing our duties to protect ourselves, support our sons and daughters who are fighting for us in missions, and pray for the success of our army. And we should all use the time also. We're home, mamadim. See how many books I have in my mamad. This is the mamad. This is time also for learning, for enhancing ourselves. And Bezrat Hashem, we can say like Yoshua and Kalev, Alona Alev Yachonu